Troops from Colorado are being sent to the southern border days before Election Day as President Trump rails against a shrinking and slowing migrant caravan in Mexico, a group that is weeks from reaching the U.S. if it arrives here at all. If it sounds like I'm downplaying the threat, I'm just trying to give you some factual context because your uncle keeps sending out a chain email claiming George Soros is paying for air-conditioned buses to bring in terrorists and gang members. So now back to the facts. Military leaders announced today that service members from Fort Carson and Peterson Air Force Base are among the thousands being sent down to the border. Today, President Trump said that as many as 15,000 troops could go. That is double this week's estimate from the military, and it would be about as many troops as we currently have in Afghanistan. The migrants moving north from Central America are 900 miles from the U.S. border, and they stopped to rest today. Their numbers continue to diminish as some turn for home and others decide to stay in Mexico. A migrant caravan during the spring saw similar attention and then similar attrition. It ended with about 200 people reaching the U.S. border, where migrants are legally allowed to seek asylum. Governor John Hickenlooper is in New Hampshire running for president today, except he can't say that he's running for president because the moment he says it, the rules change on how he can raise money. So, of course, because he is John Hickenlooper, he just blurted it out today and then furiously backpedaled when it turned out that taking that stand has consequences. Politics guy Marshall Zellinger explains why the Hick flop matters.
Governor John Hickenlooper is using his Giddy Up Political Action Committee to campaign for other candidates. Today, it's New Hampshire, where Adam Sexton, a political director for WMUR in Manchester, tweeted this exchange in a cafe.
Are you running for president?
I am. Governor Colorado, I'm going to run for president.
For 7 seconds, Hickenlooper left it hanging that he is going to run for president until he waffled in the breakfast place.
To be honest, I haven't made the final decision. Okay. And if I say I'm absolutely doing it, then there are all kind of legal ramifications. Okay. So I'm leaning strong.
That distinction is important because officially running for president changes the rules.
If a person is considering running for office and wants to set up an exploratory committee, they have to set that up separately and keep those funds distinct from their other PACs.
Right now, Hickenlooper has $322,000 in a leadership PAC, which lets him support candidates nationwide, travel to campaign for those candidates, and get his message out to a new audience. He's used some of his leadership PAC money to help Democratic candidates in 11 states. If he were to be actually campaigning for president, he would start an exploratory committee, also known as testing the waters, which lets him raise money to conduct polls, travel to meet voters, and contact supporters to see if he's a viable candidate. Basically, if he's officially running for president, he's got to giddy out of giddy up.
The kinds of activities that the FEC allows a person to do before they declare as a candidate, the standards are not very clear. It really is taken on a sort of case-by-case basis.
And just to make this clear as mud, Hickenlooper talked with another New Hampshire political reporter who tweeted this timeline.
I think we're going to wait until February or March to really make a final decision.
That's a lot of time to accidentally blurt things out. I talked to the director of the Giddy Up PAC, who tells me they have no plans on starting a new committee to announce an exploratory committee or a candidate committee. But this has gotten candidates in trouble in the past.
Yeah, Jeb Bush did the same thing.
One of 4 people that actually were challenged, they took a complaint to the FEC to say, hey, you said you're running for president. That means you should be doing this instead. It gets muddy, and I don't think people really get in trouble in the end.
Yeah.
It's inside baseball, but it matters.
Just wonder, 2 years from now, we're going to be looking back and thinking, remember that day that Governor Hickenlooper announced for president to that nice lady in the cafe?
For 7 seconds.
On accident. All right, Marshall, thank you. Our next question comes from a viewer named Ingrid. That's a beautiful name. Proposition 112 has Ingrid wondering, are more jobs in Colorado tied to the marijuana industry or the oil and gas industry? That is an excellent question, Ingrid. Did not know off the top of my head. So what do you think? More jobs in oil and gas or in marijuana? We went to the State Department of Labor and Employment. They did not have a ready answer, so they also needed to do some ciphering for us. The Labor Market Information Office says the oil and gas industry statewide employs 29,127 workers. That is 1.1% of all jobs in Colorado. Not as easy to figure out the marijuana industry number because the federal government, which tracks jobs, hates the wicked weed and won't classify it as an industry. So our best estimate comes from a February Federal Reserve Bank report that put the marijuana workforce in Colorado at about 0.7% of our jobs, so 18,535 or so in marijuana versus the 29,000 and change in oil and gas. School districts around Colorado cannot pay people to drive their school buses. Well, they cannot pay them enough to get them to drive the buses, I should say. The Greeley-Evans School District is thinking about privatizing its transportation. Our Nelson Garcia takes a look at that idea.
Should districts take the school out of school bus? The Greeley-Evans superintendent sent a letter home to parents stating that she's considering privatizing the transportation system. One reason, the shortage of drivers. Quote, "We've restored as many routes as we can, but we still have 11 open positions that have prevented us from fully restoring elementary and middle school routes."
And I think we see that when the economy is very strong, that it becomes more difficult to recruit and retain school bus drivers.
Jennifer Oakes is the Chief Operating Officer for the Colorado Department of Education. She says 4 districts in Colorado currently contract out school buses.
Some districts may consider it if they have an older school bus fleet and want to avoid that capital expenditure of new buses.
Dr. Deirdre Pilch with Greeley-Evans wrote, "The only reason we are looking at contracting for transportation services is to restore services to our families and to provide newer and safer buses at a minimal cost to the district."
I don't think we've seen that it's any more or less expensive to privatize this.
Mesa Valley Schools in Grand Junction did it more than 20 years ago, and its Chief Operating Officer, Phil Onofrio, says it's had its ups and downs.
The first thing is to find a good provider. If the provider's good, service should be great.
He says contracted school buses have saved his district money while providing enough drivers during the shortage.
They can be more flexible in the hours and in the ways that they can pay people as a private company than we can as a government entity.
At this point, it's only a thought in Greeley, not a reality. For Next, I'm Nelson Garcia.
Got to stress here, nothing's been decided in the Greeley-Evans School District. It hasn't even gone to the school board at this point. The superintendent decided to call for bids just in case. City of Denver performed its latest homeless sweep near downtown this week. They closed off a stretch of sidewalk, doing this for the first time. And each time we hear from you, talking about a question that we answered here on Next about 2 years ago. A man named Troy Montoya told us why some people in Denver choose to live on the streets rather than staying in shelters. And this week, we heard from Troy again. He said that he wanted to again share his perspective on an issue that's often in the news. He wanted to update you on how his life turned around since we last talked.
I know oftentimes being homeless, one of the things I felt invisible, that I didn't matter. And I think with being able to reach out and saying, this is a success story. Hi, my name is Troy Montoya. I'm an alcoholic and I used to be formerly homeless. Right now we are in the back of the building of Stout Street. I'm in the alley where I used to live. I think for me the turning point had been that I wanted out, that I had found AA, that I had found other 12-step programs, and that I had found the coalition, the Colorado Coalition for the Homeless. They saved me, they rescued me, they pulled me off the streets and they gave me a worth. And so for me, it gave me the drive to stand up, to pick up the pieces, and to understand that I was worth having a roof over my head. I deal with addiction day to day. I deal with mental illness day to day. I struggle with depression. I wake up some mornings and I don't want to get out of bed, but at least I have the tools to do a load of laundry, get up in the morning and take a shower and put myself together. That's the next step, is getting stable enough that I can go to work and I can become part of society again. And I want the taxpayers to know that their money is going to good use. It's hard to look at the alley, it's hard to live across the street in a beautiful new building, but I come back here every once in a while so that I remember what I have and where I've came. These are the keys to my freedom.
Colorado parks didn't just happen. Behind parks, there are people.
You know, they were able to preserve a lot of the open space.
A look back at a man who gave Coloradans room to breathe. Our Anusha Roy shares what her family has learned from a cancer diagnosis. And somebody, I mean somebody, should have seen the issue with this sign. That's next.
Hi, it's me. No, not Kyle. Me, the alien you think is always watching Kyle. I know they want you to believe I'm just a part of a picture of DIA's tent roof, and that it's just a hoist to get maintenance workers to the top. But you and I know the truth. DIA loves a good alien conspiracy about who is really controlling the world from beneath the airport. And with so much secrecy in the terminal, who is really to say what's going on back there? It's all a cover for construction. Paid for by people who really know this is not an alien behind Kyle.
One life, it's immeasurable. Every life is priceless.
Safe to Tell has been an instrument that we've used to save kids' lives.
We've encouraged our kids to use Safe to Tell.
When we receive the information, we will act on that information. I think that we're seeing success.
We're saving kids' lives every single weekend on Safe to Tell, and that's the value of Safe to Tell.
We have to notice, because it's our kids.
I know people don't always believe this, but I'm allowed to speak my mind on this show, and I'm allowed to showcase your thoughtful perspectives, even if the bosses don't agree with them. That really does happen here. That's the strength of Next. It's important to hear things that we disagree with because lo and behold, we might change our minds. We also want Next to be a reflection of you watching at home. You're smart, funny, and you're unapologetically honest, even when it gets you in trouble. And that's what we hope that the show is as well.
These girls are too much.
Can I have your attention, everyone? That depends. Are you a cat video? Too funny. Here's your fish of the day. That day is last Monday. Too wild. Together. Caroline's got a date tonight. It's not a joke. I'm really going on a date. Stop it. Oh my gosh, I'm gonna pee.
Two Broke Girls.
5 nights a week on Channel 20.
There are heroes among us. They don't fly or bend steel or ride off into the sunset. They simply volunteer to look after someone else's health by providing comfort, lending a hand, or simply keeping us on track. Everyone's health needs a hero. Who will you look out for?
Find out how you can participate in improving our health. Visit iparticipate.org.
At camp, we believe all children should have superpowers, like the power to feel safe and the power to be protected. But each year in Colorado, thousands of children are victims of child abuse and neglect. You can help by supporting CAMP in their efforts to prevent child abuse. CAMP treats abused children, trains professionals, and conducts research to ensure a healthy and hopeful future for these innocent victims. Learn more at KEMPE.org and give a child the power to be a kid again.
We all want, our community to be a better place. And how do we do that? By informing the community, by being a part of the community, and by listening to the community.
It's finally time to exhale or inhale if you're into that kind of thing. We will not be talking politics for the rest of the program. From here on out, we are a partisan-free party. We are done with politics for the day. Note, that does not apply to commercial breaks.
Clear and cold outside this Halloween Eve. Our storm that brought the much needed snow is long gone. Our high at 46 is below the average of 59 or 60, but we're trending in the right direction tomorrow. And those headed out between now and 9 o'clock, a not so scary forecast. Temperatures dropping out of the lower 40s into the mid 30s with a few high clouds coming in that will actually help to keep the temperatures up. Our recent storm is lifting northeast away from the area, but this progressive northwest flow will transport little weather systems in. That means snow for the mountains but lower elevations stay dry. We get a little bit of cloud cover coming in, but no winter weather or travel advisories to really be an issue for you on I-70 tonight, tomorrow, or for the weekend. And so let's start with the forecast for tonight. Partly cloudy and a low at 32. Tomorrow we get a mix of clouds and sunshine, a warmer high at 56, low 60s as we get you into Friday. Isolated showers Saturday. Good looking football forecast on Sunday. Great weather for those getting out to vote on Tuesday. And how about the Halloween-like forecast? I mean, this sunrise in Fort Morgan, Kyle, was spectacular from Don Mitchell today.
That it is. Thank you, Kathy. Fall colors are flecked with pink each year as people try and draw attention to breast cancer. Not everyone who's diagnosed wants attention, wants to talk about it. Our friend Anusha Roy, who talks for a living, struggled with that for quite a long time when her mother was diagnosed with breast cancer. Today, Anusha's ready to talk.
So a couple weeks ago, I got this email that said, how do you talk about cancer? And I just kind of stopped because when this happened to my family, we had absolutely no idea. So it was about 9 years ago that my mom was diagnosed, and I distinctly remember thinking, I can't say this out loud because if I do, then it becomes real. And my entire family, we were petrified. Everyone but my mom, who decided to just start talking about it. She told her friends, go get mammograms, because her friend told her to do the same, and it caught her cancer early enough, and that might have just saved her life. And while the rest of us were saying, why us, why me, why her, she was saying, why not me? Because I have every reason in the world to beat this, and she did. And after that, our family became infinitely more open about this, not only for my mom, but also because the chances of my sister and I developing breast cancer in the future also go up. I guess I just wanted to talk today because if you're having trouble talking about cancer, that's okay. If you don't know what to say, that's okay too. And sometimes it just makes it a little easier knowing that this is really hard to talk about.
Farewell to a man who is determined to give Coloradans a little space.
He wanted to do it for the people, for the environment.
He was very humble, man.
Yes.
And if your kid's costume is better than this one, I need to see it. Email next@9news.com or use the hashtag HeyNext.
I really didn't feel safe anymore at home.
Sometimes I wouldn't eat. It was like this hunger pain in your stomach.
It was just so lonely. I just felt like I was not important to anyone.
I never thought homelessness could happen to someone like me.
I remember coming here and I felt comfort, I felt safe.
Graduating as valedictorian, getting a job, keeping the job, it's just a good feeling.
Because I've completely turned my life around and made it into what I've always wanted it to be. There's people out there who can help. There's people out there who care. And things can get better.
If you call 1-800-RUNAWAY, you will get connected to the help you need.
From Maine to Maui, thousands of high school students across the country are getting in on the action by volunteering in their communities.
It's great helping others, and it feels good too. Are you in? Whoa!
Anyone can do it. All it takes is a little time. Are you in?
Action teams of high school students are joining Volunteers of America and Major League Baseball players to help train and inspire the next generation of volunteers.
It's easy to start an action team at your school, so you too can get in on the action.
Are you in? Get in on the action at actionteam.org.
1 in 4 girls will be sexually abused before her 18th birthday, and 1 in 6 boys will be sexually abused before turning 18. Only 1 in 10 will tell. But today, thousands of children will enter a children's advocacy center with the courage to talk about the unimaginable. Because one adult with courage was there. Are you the one with courage? To find a children's advocacy center near you and to learn more, go to coloradocac.org/1.
I think it's important that every night we get together and we talk about what could be improved in our community and what's going well in our community and what is just absurd and funny and we should laugh about it. That's a reflection of your day. That's a reflection of my day. Let's take a minute to talk about another Coloradan most of us never met. If you have ever stood in and admired Boulder's open spaces, you can thank Dwayne Miller. He passed away over the weekend at the age of 89. Lived the kind of life that allowed his family to smile, as they told us about him today.
This is my beautiful family.
This is our lovely mother, Doris Miller.
We're here to talk about my beautiful husband, Dwayne Miller.
I like him in the cowboy hat.
Yeah.
He just looks like he's at peace right there.
Dwayne was hired as the first park and recreation director for the city of Boulder.
And a leader in preserving environment and park systems and planning your parks for your cities and your trail systems and things like that.
I beat him fishing the first time we went fishing together, and
I've never heard that story.
And because he let you.
That's one of our Alaska trips.
It was a 2-month trip all the way up to Juneau pulling a camper.
It was just like magical time for all of us.
He taught at Colorado State University, and he taught outdoor recreation and park management, landscape architecture. When he came here to Fort Collins, the one thing he brought was 10 years of excellent experience out in the field that he was teaching the students.
He was a great man, and loved by a lot of people.
Guys, I can't help but notice that there's the 4 of you sitting around the table and one empty chair.
Oh, yes. Yeah. Absolutely. He's here, though. He's here in all of us, you know, especially my children. They're blessed with his kindness and caring nature.
Yeah, he'll live within us forever.
Yep.
You ever see a guy who looked more like Colorado? Family of Dwayne Miller sharing their memories through the lens of our photojournalist, Mike Grady. It is a sign that no neighborhood in Colorado is without its warts, especially Lakewood's 40 Warts District. Wait, come on now. This is supposed to be a shortened version of the 40 West Arts District, but the period, no, it all comes apart. Laura Eberly saw the sign, saw the same thing we saw, same thing you're seeing there, the 40 Warts District. Send us the signs that make you look twice. Email next@9news.com or get our attention with the hashtag HeyNext. All of the great costumes today, impossible to pick a favorite, right? Wrong, I picked a favorite. Well, we picked a favorite, and it's next.
Every day, I seek a positive
direction for my life.
Through my accomplishments.
And now, with help.
And support from my family and others I own.
I own
my recovery from addiction and depression.
Join the Voices for Recovery. It's worth it.
For information on mental and substance use disorders, including prevention and treatment referral, call 720-435-0686. Brought to you by Advocates for Recovery.
We don't have to agree. Let's just talk. Next, weekdays at 6 on 9 News.
Don't use the H word.
The H word now has taken on a meaning where we don't need a label. We just need to be seen as for who we are and what we do and what we're capable of.
For me, the word handicap feels more like it applies to things rather than people.
Don't use the H word.
This public service announcement brought to you by the Denver Commission for People with Disabilities, one of the mayor's commissions under the Agency for Human Rights and Community Partnerships.
So, I'm kind of new here, but I've noticed a trend.
My human does this funny thing where she goes around and gets all my toys, and then she hides them in that basket by the door. You know, but it's always the same basket, and it's always in the same place. And then she acts so surprised when I find them, but, you know, she's putting them in the same basket. Again. It's like, hello, that's where you put it last time. You were the worst at hide and go seek.
I used to never really talk. Ever. I was afraid if I said something wrong, everyone would laugh at me. But then I started to play golf with Special Olympics. It helped me to find my voice. And now everyone else is speechless.
Did you know that 1 in 3 women in the United States experience rape, physical violence, and/or stalking by an intimate partner in their lifetime? This could be your mother, sister, daughter, or best friend. Safe House Denver provides safe shelter and comprehensive services to adults, children, and youth experiencing domestic violence. Visit safehouse-denver.org to learn how to help someone you suspect is experiencing abuse, or to learn about volunteer opportunities, donations, and other ways you can get involved.
The most Colorado thing we saw today comes from Greeley, where Tony El Pelotero is winning Halloween. Perfect miniature of the guys who push their carts selling treats in the streets. I love this. He's got his big sister's toy shopping cart all rigged up, mustache just like his dad. Look at the hat. Thanks to Chris Garcia for sharing the photos of his nephew. A truly original Halloween costume and the most Colorado thing we saw today. Finish with your feedback. Jane says, couldn't Colorado as a state refuse to send our troops to the border? Only our National Guard. The troops going down are from Fort Carson and Peterson. And Brett says, is that really an orange velour sport coat you're wearing? No, that would be offensive. It's corduroy. Happy Halloween. See you next time. Subscribe to the Next YouTube channel for the best of Next and some other stuff.